True Detective is on HBO and Max.
Episode 5. Although, to be fair, it's a room. We've all contributed to everything throughout the entire series, which was like the most fun part is like, I remember when I suggested that. Like, that's delicious. That's amazing.
Your DNA is somehow
it's in there. It's
Yeah.
in there for sure.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Matt Osterman, and welcome to Propellant, Minnesota. In today's episode, we're chatting with screenwriter Wenonah Wilms. She's been in the news lately as one of the amazing writers on Season 4 of True Detective. We talk about what it was like to work on a show of that caliber, her feelings on working within the Hollywood system, winning the prestigious Nicholl Fellowship, and what it's like to work from home in Minnesota. We also get into how she found her voice as a writer, the trials and tribulations of the industry, working for the Obama's production company, a whole bunch of advice, and a lot of fun insider information. Wenonah and I have been pals for at least a decade, and I am so proud of all that she has accomplished. She is truly a force of nature, and I had a blast catching up with her. Please enjoy my conversation with Wenonah Wilms. Okay, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We're going to start at the most obvious place. Season 4 of True Detective. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm really digging this season. I think everybody should watch it. How did it come about that you were involved with the show?
I think Issa had written a pilot, and it had to do with Alaskan Native culture. So they were looking for an indigenous voice to complement the room. So I believe that when she was looking for writers, my name must have popped up because I'm also like the genre horror,
right?
Is what I do. And she's a horror writer. Historically, she's a horror filmmaker. So she interviewed me and we talked, and she liked me. I think part of being hired for a room is a lot about personality, and when you put together those 5, 6, 10 people, it's like everybody has to sort of complement each other. And
Cocktail
I think that,
party.
Yeah. I think she just saw that there was a place for me at the table.
Yeah, and she's Mexican, right?
She is.
So were you kind of the cold weather expert on the team?
For sure. Out of the 5 of us, I think I was the northernmost person. One woman was actually in London.
Oh, okay.
So it was a Zoom room.
Yep.
So for her, I felt bad for her because she was like eating dinner and like staying up late. Like that was crazy. But yeah, I during the room, it was winter. It was 2 years ago almost now. And so I would put on my like goose down jacket and take pictures of myself in the snow. I'm like, this is what you're looking, this is what you're going to be doing.
Right.
So yeah. And I think that in the article, I believe I was quoted with talking about going outside to smoke,
right.
So little things like that. She would laugh at me. And the reason that, aside from the infrastructure in Alaska, I think one of the reasons that she wanted to shoot in Iceland was she just didn't like the cold that much. And I don't know how much warmer Iceland is than Alaska, but
yeah. Well, I mean, production in the cold is a giant pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And you get less out of people. So I understand that. But yeah, Iceland can get pretty dang cold too.
I would think so. Aside from the lava that they
the eruptions.
Yeah.
What was that writing process like? I know writing rooms are one thing, Zoom rooms are a whole nother, and they can be cauldrons of conflict and drama. But do you feel like you got something out of the process as well, and your voice was heard, and
yeah. So this was Issa's first room, her first experience as a showrunner. So it was also my first experience in a room. So I think both of us came into it not really knowing what we were doing.
And some of the other writers had done...
The other writers had done rooms. I think the one in London, she was like on Black Mirror. I think the other 2 writers came off of a show that had Elizabeth Moss in it. I can't recall the name of the show, but they were more experienced. And her second was Alan Page, and he was on The Walking Dead. I think he'd done a couple. So... and he was really good at keeping things like on track for the rest of us, I think. But yeah, it was a really good mixture, and I think that I was heard. I did feel like what I had to say was relevant, just because there were so few of us, I think, too. You know, there's 5 of us in the room. So yeah, I think it was a really good experience. It was hard. It was hard. I think being on the Zoom that many hours a day, that many days a week, which I wasn't used to.
Yeah.
Was really taxing, you know, I think, and I would move around so much. A lot of people would just sit at the same desk, and I just cannot do it.
Yeah.
I would be like, guess my background today. Where am I? I would move from room to room, from couch to couch, from just out of pure boredom.
We got to change your state a little bit too, because you can't. It's hard to come up with new thoughts if you're like not moving.
It is for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How many hours a day were you in there when you did?
I think our rooms were from 10 my time to 4 or 5. It was a whole day with an hour break for lunch.
Yeah.
One woman was in LA. Like so we were spread all over, so we had to really account for time zones as well.
Is there another window with like an editable document happening, or are you just spitting out ideas? Like walk us through that process.
Both. We had a writer's assistant, Blake, and she took care of all of that. She was awesome. She had just gotten off of Reservation Dogs. So she was the writer's assistant for that show. But yeah, we had a virtual board, a Miro board, you know, that we were throwing up all of our cards and things like that. And again, that was all new to me. Like it's things you hear about that happen, you know, and I really kind of wanted, and I will be someday in like a real room. I want to see like the cardboards, you know, like all the you know, the whiteboard. Yeah, I want to be part of that, sitting around a table. It is difficult because when you start talking on Zoom and someone else starts talking, and then, you know, it's got that
lag,
blanks out or whatever. And so it was an exercise in patience. Yeah. Waiting for somebody to finish their thought and then find that space and be able to jump in. And, you know, it was, I'm sure it's much different than a real room was.
Yeah. Well, and now you don't get catered lunches every day either. Like what are you eating? 2-day-old mac and cheese.
Right.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I think, I mean, Zoom rooms have really become more popular in the last couple of years because of COVID, right?
Yep.
Like that just pushed it because we had to and everybody got used to it. But, do you think people are going to get back to being in person?
Yes. That or hybrid, I've heard. Without the Zoom, I would not have probably had a career in television at all because I didn't want to leave Minnesota. I didn't want to go to LA to be in a room. I know it sounds really like whiny now in retrospect, because now I'm like, I'll go anywhere for any job. But with COVID and the Zoom, my TV agent was like, we're going to start putting you up for TV jobs now. I was like, okay. So I don't, and again, I would have gone somewhere for a True Detective room for sure. Yep. But it really, the Zoom helped me personally.
Yeah. Would you do it again?
What?
Zoom room?
Yes.
Yeah,
I would.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Like working on a show is really fun. And I like money, and that's fun too.
You can do fun things with money.
I mean, sitting on your couch, staring at your computer and making money is like kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
Just talking to people.
Yeah. Yeah. So Issa Lopez, the showrunner of True Detective, kind of praised you for, you know, kind of dark humor and building layered characters, and having known you and your work for a long time, like no surprise to me, but was that kind of their day one for you? Was that already your voice, or did that have to kind of get
day one? I've always been like that. I think my mom was she had all of the Stephen King books, and I'm an only child, and so like, you know, what's this weird book mom's got, you know? And so like I started out like as a dark, creepy kid, I think. It's served me well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's what makes you unique. Yeah. Speaking of being a kid, you grew up in Minneapolis, right?
Yep. Born and raised downtown.
Yeah.
I was born downtown. I wasn't raised down, you know.
Right. Back alley, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Right behind the Shinders.
So good.
Yeah, totally. How was it growing up here?
I loved it.
Loved it?
I loved it.
Well, you didn't leave.
I didn't leave. I won't leave. I tried to leave. Have you been other places? They're not as nice as here.
Yeah. I mean, don't say that too loud.
I know. I do love it. I hate winter. The older I get, I hate it more. But, you know, it's the price we all pay, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
And I do hope. I mean, I wish we have a really good filmmaking community here, thriving filmmaker community. And I think a lot of it is because we have so much commercial work that the filmmakers are able to do their pet projects or, take jobs that are not as well paying just because they have day jobs doing, the commercial work.
Yep.
But that's not really the same, obviously, for like TV and screenwriting in general. I think it's a little harder to have a career here. Anywhere outside of Los Angeles it is, and at this point maybe even Atlanta. That's another really great hub. I think you can have a career and be home, but it's harder here.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too because Minnesota just has that new incentive, so we're hoping to attract more production here.
Yes.
I wonder if that's going to bring writers along with it too. Obviously, it'll help cast and crew, but yeah, hopefully.
I would hope so. I'm working on a show right now with Hulu FX, and we are adapting a book series that takes place in Alaska. Again, Alaska. I know. I'm like, I need to do more like Hawaii shows. And it's funny. They did approach me right after True Detective, and they said, are you interested in adapting this book series about the Alaskan Natives? And I said, nope. No, thank you. I just got out of that room, and I'm not Alaskan Native, and it is actually quite hard to represent an indigenous culture that you're not a part of,
all
right?
Natives aren't the same.
right?
Yeah.
We're all Indians, and it's beautiful. No, it's an amazing culture, but it's something I don't know a lot of. Like I had to learn a lot about Alaska in the last couple of years, Alaskan Natives.
Yeah.
So I said no. And they said, awesome, would you like to be partnered with an Alaskan Native writer to help develop this? And I said, sure, that's great. Yeah. So that's what I did. I am partnered with an Alaskan Native, and we are working on another Alaskan show. So I think she would like the room to be in Alaska because like our dream would be like that I'm the only non-Alaskan writer,
right?
And to have a room in Alaska. Would I go to Alaska to be in a room? I mean,
yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
I know it's beautiful, but again, like with my luck, it would be during our summer, and then I would just be experiencing winter for like year round.
Right.
But we suffer for our careers.
Yeah.
So I would, yeah.
Yeah.
I would like a room here. I would love to have an in-person room here. And a lot of my projects, I think I do maybe in my back of my mind try to make them filmable here. Yeah. I set a lot of things in Minnesota, Wisconsin, reservation land, hoping that things could be shot here.
Right.
Like that would be amazing. I would love to give my friends in production jobs like security and fun projects to work on that are big budget and high production value and things like that.
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating when something is supposed to be set here and then they go film in Canada or Michigan or
and it's usually obviously not in a screenwriter's control or hands to do that. We can set things where we can set them, and then money controls the rest of it. But if I was a showrunner, I would have a little bit more input into that. Yeah, where we would go to write and to shoot and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like we are on the cusp of turning the corner on that.
I hope so.
Yeah, we do have. I mean, we have great talent here, both in front of and behind the camera. Just it's not super deep because everybody goes elsewhere because that's where the jobs are.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact everyone would come back if there's more work here.
Yeah. I'm trying. Matt, I'm trying.
I know you are. I know. I mean, I did my last one here for the exact same reason. I'm like, we can do it here.
We can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I feel badly because, I mean, so the way it goes is you have a project and then you take that to a production company, right? And the production company either has like first look deals or overall deals with studios, right?
Yep.
So it's all like has all these different levels to it. And when I'm getting paid, but my production company isn't getting paid because, I'm doing all the work, but they're also doing a lot of work and they're putting in time and, that makes me feel bad. Yeah. Because I want everybody to get paid for everything that they do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a shitty system when it comes down to it.
It's, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Hollywood, can you share with the audience the incredibly glamorous day-to-day life of a Hollywood screenwriter?
Can I tell you how many puzzles I've put together in the last 6 months? I am not the kind of person that writes every day. So I get that out of the way, you know. I think that we're all most productive when we have a project in front of us with a deadline and that's paying. Like that's all of our dream, right?
Those two things help.
I'm an extremely efficient everyday writer when I'm working. Other than that, I don't do anything really. I just get up, you know, I drink my coffee, I watch TV.
Yeah, but I think you're probably doing more than you think you are. You're saving your energy, right? So when you do need to write every day, you have it. Because if you're writing every single day and then you get that gig, can you hit it with the same, verve?
Yes. Right. Thank you. Yeah. I think the thing that's changed the most for me as far as my productivity and me as a writer is that when I first got like my agents and everything back, 2018 after the Nicholl, and I started getting multiple sort of meetings for multiple projects. And I started getting overwhelmed. I was like, no, I'm a one project girl. Like I can think about one story at a time. I can't have, more than one time, story, characters, plot, all that stuff running around my head at the same time. And they laughed at me. They're like, yes, you can. Right. Like that's what screenwriters do. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a working screenwriter, you're going to have multiple projects at multiple times.
This is how we all get paid off of your work.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how you go crazy and we make a lot of money. Uh-huh. And that took me so long to not only wrap my head around, but then to sort of put it into practice and be able to do it. Mm-hmm. At the moment right now, I would say 8. I have 8 projects, both in TV and film, that I'm in development in. And so like, you're right. While I might not be actually writing, I'm constantly like thinking about what stage that project's in, what I need to do for that. Who do I need to, set up meetings for with that? So there's a lot of not writing that goes into writing at this level for sure.
And I'm sure there's subconscious work being done too. I'm not like a woo-woo guy, but I know that is helpful when you give yourself some time and space too. Like better ideas can pop sometimes.
Yeah, you're writing in your head like almost all the time. You've got, and like, I don't know, I guess my joy in life is gone because I can't really I can't just experience something without wondering, is there a story here?
Right,
like everything everywhere I go, like, is that a character? Is that a plot? And it just like, it kind of ruins everything, especially TV and film.
Yeah, are you able to watch anything and not see the strings?
My kids can't. Yeah. They're like, thanks, Mom, you wrecked everything. We're like, there's
inciting incident at minute 19. Yeah,
our orphaned protagonist, and there's the 15 mark. Inciting. They've learned just by being around me, and I think I might have ruined 3 people's lives.
Yeah, it's very rare for me, but when I get to the end of a movie or show and I didn't have those like meta thoughts, I'm like, oh, that must have been really good because
right?
I didn't see the puppet master.
Exactly, I got lost.
Yeah. Obviously writing is, a lot of loneliness and boredom punctuated by some, writers' rooms, etc. But you got to go to the True Detective premiere.
I did.
How was that?
Terrifying.
Was it in LA?
It was in LA.
Okay.
They sent out the invitations, 6 weeks in advance, and I was like, no. I RSVP'd right away. I'm like, no, have a good time. And they're like, oh, you'll be missed. And I'm like, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Why did you say no?
I've never been to a premiere of something I've been involved in, and I didn't know what that looked like. And I'm an introvert. I have anxiety. Like I couldn't picture it. That's part of like, your anxiety is being able to control things and be, know ahead of time what you're going into.
Yep.
And so I was like, that my very first premiere is this. Like this is this too much. It's too big. Mm-hmm. And then everybody around me was like, are you out of your mind? Like, go. You earned it. There were only 5 writers. Like, go. So like 3 or 4 days before, I re-emailed back HBO and I was like, can I come? They're like, well, maybe we can find some room for you, but you can't, I lost my +1. So like no emotional support person. So I ran out and like bought some clothes and, got some nails and eyelashes and then like flew out there, spent one night. And it was amazing. It was so fun. Like the way that they had it set up, seeing the the red carpet with the background of True Detective, and then just sitting back and watching like the stars, all the cast and people come in. And I'd already seen the whole series. Like the HBO sent me a screener copy of all of it. And so I was able to like see the characters that we had made, and there they
played.
are.
Yeah.
And of course everybody's waiting for like Jodie Foster to walk in, and that was eek. It was amazing. So I got to sit in the audience and watch the pilot. And what I loved so much is that it was all people that worked on the show, right? They got the invitations to do this. So like, while I felt special, like I was like, we're all special, you know, like I sat next to, I think his name is, I probably won't get this right. It's like Vince, it's not Vincent Price, because that would be Vincent.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. Like, but it was, band part. I don't know. Anyway, I sat next to the guy that did the music, you know? And so I was like, oh, you blah, blah, blah. We talked, and it was so fun. And then there was the big party after the screening. And I found that when you go up to someone and you say, hi, I was in the writer's room for this show, people are really excited to meet you. Like it's
a big deal.
It was a big deal. It was a great opener for me that I used. Like I was like all night, I'm like, hi, I'm the writer. And it was really fun. I went up to Finn. I don't remember his last name, but he played Peter Pryor. He plays the young detective.
Yep.
And I was like, hi, I'm Wenonah. I was one of the writers. I did, worked on episode 5, and his face just like lit up, and he's like, that's my episode. And I'm like, I know. And so we had like a great little chat. And then I introduced myself to Jodie Foster. I said, hi, I'm Wenonah. I wrote the show. She said, hi, I'm Jodie. And I was
like, yeah, no shit.
Of course you're Jodie.
Right.
So it was just so fun. And then I got to meet Issa. I mean, like I had never met her. I spent 15 weeks in a writer's room looking at her face every day, and seeing her in person was just like a lovely, my friend and some of the other writers. So it was a really fun night that I'm really, really glad that I did go, for sure.
Did it go all night, or did you jet early?
I wasn't the last one there, but I was wearing shoes that I just bought, sucking in, and I was like tired. I definitely have a expiration time, and it's LA, and I was already tired.
Yeah. You glad you went?
Yes.
Yeah, and you'd go again.
Yes. Yeah. And now I know what premieres are about, because like, how do you dress? Like, what's going to happen? So now I feel a little bit more confident for my next one.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Growing up here, you didn't really have any contacts into the film industry.
Zero.
So you started kind of with the contest route.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And you played that for a while, and then ultimately culminated in winning.
I played it and won. I came up with 7s,
You won the biggest competition out there, the Nicholl Fellowship. Yep. Would you still recommend people entering contests? Is that still a viable track?
For features? Yes. Obviously, because I never wanted to do TV. Like I said, that wasn't in my sights, which I feel like TV with the fellowships that they offer through the studios is actually a little bit more forgiving. There's a lot of them. I know someone here that went to the Warner Brothers Fellowship, and he's in a room right now. So I mean, I think that's a faster track or a better track. I don't know, but if you're doing features, it's so hard to break into features right now. I think that it's a lot of writer-directors. Very few screenwriters are going to sell a screenplay that way. Doing competitions is a really great way to those top ones, the Nicholl, the Austin, maybe the Page. I think it's a really great way to maybe get representation. And when you get representation, then what you have is a writing sample, and your writing sample will be sent out, on your behalf, and you'll get meetings based on that writing sample. And hopefully, if you're lucky, you'll be put up for like open writing assignments, or, get some IP sent to you. But, taking your original screenplay and going through the competition route and expecting to sell that screenplay is not going to happen. I mean,
it's happened, but it's not.
But I mean, the one that I won with is not, no one's going to make that, I don't think. But,
not yet.
We'll see.
Talk about winning the Nicholl. How was that for you? Like, walk us through it.
Exactly how I thought it was going to be. Like, super dreamy, terrifying. The week of the, well, where do you, at what point do you want me to tell you, like the winning it, or like?
Well, I mean, you submit, and then you get quarter, semi, then you win. So you're kind of like getting these little victories along the way.
I submitted to the Nicholl for 16 years with 12 different screenplays. So like for me, it was that was the big one that I really wanted to win it, because every time I would go to like a, talk to students or do a panel, I'd be like, win the Nicholl, and that's your golden ticket. That's your way in. Yep. And I kind of wanted to prove that to be true, because you do see a lot of Nicholl winners. Like if you follow them, they win and then you never hear from them again. They don't go on to, have careers. So, I mean, I think that the Nicholl is, when you win it, that's like step one, right? It's not the last step. It's the first step in a career. Yeah. And you really have to take advantage of that and say, I'm going to roll this into something else. And that's what I was very, very determined to do, to prove that everything I said was like true.
Right. You couldn't be proven wrong. Yeah.
So I had been quarterfinals. I've been, semifinals. I had never been a finalist. So when I was a finalist, I was like, oh man, we're getting close. How
many finalists were there?
10. There's 10 finalists. And then they email you and they're like, we're going to, you're either going to get a phone call or we're going to have a video. And you don't know which is which and which is better and when it's going to like, it's a very time, right? Right. So I had a video and I thought that's good, because why would you want to let me down and see my face? Right. Like, why would you do that in person and watch me cry? So I got on the video call and the whole like committee was on the call. So it was like me with 12 people. They were like in choir rows,
either masochists or you have some good news, one of the two. Yeah.
So I kind of like, at that point I was like, this is it. This is it. And they right away, they're like, Wenonah, you won the Nicholl. And there's a video of it, of that moment that they told me. And I just was crying and crying. I just remember breaking down crying. I'm like,
I mean, you say 16 years?
16 years.
12 screenplays. Yeah.
It was big. It was a big accomplishment for me. And I had just found out that I was also a finalist for the Austin that year as well. So I was like, that was in, I think, October. And then in November is the Nicholl week. And they make you just feel like super, super special, right? That it's luncheons.
And Nicholl's put on by the Academy, right? Yeah. So it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. They do luncheons. They have speakers come in and talk to you. You get to go through like the museum, the motion picture museum, and not just like walk through it. You get to go into the back room and like look at old props and stuff like that. They let you like play with Oscars. So I like have pictures of me holding the Oscars. It's very heavy. And then you get to meet, like, it's a really special time, and it's all leading up to the awards ceremony, which again, for me, like if you would have asked me 5 years ago, 6 years ago, what's your biggest fear? Like, I'd rather be buried alive than speak in front of a crowd. 100 million %. And now you're like, hey, Wenonah, you're just going to have this little speech on this stage with like giant, Oscars, and right preceding your speech, there's going to have like 4, awesome actors act out a whole scene from your I mean, it was like everything is just like thrown at you. Big dark theater with
famous, important people there. Yep.
Yeah. Just, it's past surreal. It's absolutely terrifying, right? And I think I was first. I think I was first to go up too. And I'd written my speech the night before, and I was really sick that week too. So like my throat was sore, and I, whatever. And I remember just going up there and like reading this, and I wrote down like breathe, and I read that out loud and everything. And it was really special though. Yeah. It was a very much just like a personal, like amazing accomplishment. I was just so proud of myself. Yeah. I was like, this is it. Yeah. This is happening.
I think a lot of people were proud of you.
Aw, thank you.
Me too.
Thank you.
Professionally, were things happening for you at that point? or was that kind of the key that unlocked it, the next step?
You know, it really was like a before and after, because you know me, we know each other. I'd spend a lot of time, my whole 18 years prior to that, doing as much as I could locally to get stuff made, just to get stuff out there, to talk to people, to collaborate, to do what I needed to do just to stay moving forward. And that included continuing to like enter competitions and things like that. But that really changed the Nicholl. It really did. I mean, I got my agents at UTA. Actually, they pulled me on when I was still a finalist. So my agent showed up to the awards ceremony.
Wow.
And that was the first time I met them. And that was really nice.
It's a good way to service an agent. Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Yeah,
you got to play that game too, which maybe we can talk about a little bit.
That's a good game.
So you already had an agent at that point. So that part was...
That was my first agent. And I went on, so the whole, like, when you're brand new to Hollywood, they literally sort of want to introduce you to their contacts and their, and that's
the water bottle?
The water bottle tour, the general meetings. So I stayed that week, an extra week past the Nicholl week to start that. And I would say I went to LA like 3 more times, in this between that and when COVID hit. So I would take between 5 and 15, 20 meetings, like each trip.
Yeah.
I think I totaled about 55 to 60 general meetings. And again, if you know me, I don't like to talk to a lot of people a lot. And so to get this like itinerary that's like, you're going to go to MGM and then you're going to go to Bad Robot and then you're going to go like, it was extremely overwhelming. Yeah. I don't like to drive in LA, so I would Uber.
Yep.
And then the Uber people would talk to you. So it was like, it'd be like a full day of like just being on, talking to the point where I was like, screw this, I'm walking. I'm walking to my generals. So I'd throw on a backpack, throw on some shoes, and just to get like fresh air and just have my time to like just not be around people. I would walk for miles and miles. I lost 3 toenails in LA that year just because I walked so much. It was disgusting, but very intense.
Yeah.
Very, very intense for people like me.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough. I got to do the water bottle tour once, and it was kind of disappointing. Like you think like you drive through the studio gates, or you go to this cool production company, and some are all about you and very excited. Others like know nothing, and it's just kind of like a greeting, and they're like, "Who put this on my calendar?" Like
it is.
Yeah.
I also think that, and this was before Reservation Dogs, Rutherford Falls, Dark Winds, all of the native shows that are up. I'm a native woman who just won the Nicholl, who. It's just kind of a poster child for the beginning of what, the changes that Hollywood is going through with diversity and Me Too and all that. I mean, I remember one general where someone was like, do you speak English on your reservation? And I was like, are you serious right now? Like, and they're like, I've never met, this different person was like, I never met like a Native American person before. And so it really was interesting because like Minnesota has so many Native people, all over the place. I just grew up here, and I was like, there are Native Californian tribes too. Like we're all over the place still, believe it or not. So it was really interesting and weird. Yeah, that part of it.
Yeah, well, it tells you who the executives can possibly be, and there's a lot of great ones too.
Yeah,
but yeah, some of these people are not playing with the full deck.
No. And I remember I have one funny story. I went on the Paramount lot, not Paramount, Universal Studios lot. And I was taking a general as early because I told you I like to be early. I was like a half hour early, and I really needed a cup of coffee. And so like I was wandering around, and I had my maps open to Starbucks. And I was like, well, there's one like right around here. And a lot of, studio lots have coffee shops or whatever. And I was following it, and I followed it to a gate. And there were two guys at the gates. And I was like, is there coffee around here? And they're like, yeah. And they opened the gate and they're like, it's just around the corner. They opened the gate to Universal Studios, right? So I walk in and I'm in the theme park. And I was like, okay. So I got my coffee. And then I went back to the gates and they were locked and nobody was there.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, well, I have a meeting on the other side of this gate in like 10 minutes. How do I get out of here? And I had to walk all around. Like I was asking like the map guys, like, how do I get out of here? And they're like, just go to the front gates, which is like, half a mile away.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to get out the back gate that I just came in.
I'm supposed to be here. Yeah.
I was sweating. It was really scary. So don't ever do that.
Yeah. Did you sneak on a ride while you were?
No, but I did watch a show. Like there was like a thing, like a robot show that was happening, and there was like dancers and stuff.
All right.
But it was weird.
Yeah. How are you feeling about the industry in general right now? Because we've come through a couple big strikes, which were incredibly difficult for a lot of folks. And the streamers are kind of like coalescing all the power. So, like as an independent filmmaker, I couldn't go to financiers right now with a straight face and say, I know how to get your money back. Yeah. You have to be working with, these 800-pound gorillas. Yeah.
I think I read somewhere that it's like the bubble is broken. We're never going to have that many streaming shows on ever again. And I mean, I'm kind of glad. Like, I feel like that's another challenge for me to rise to the top and be as good as I can. Like, there are shows that I have said no to because I just didn't like this is not my type of show, which I was like, wow. Now I'm like, why did I said no to some paid gigs? Yeah. I guess I had some luxury then a couple years ago, but I feel like the level that I'm working on and the people that I'm working with, I don't personally feel in jeopardy. I do think that the strikes really capped me quite a bit. Like they took some wind out of my sails, but for me, it's just pick back up and do what I do and just move forward. It's I don't know. I really need to have something, and I know True Detective is it's a huge big show, but it's not my show, right? Like for me, that's my next goal is to have my stuff made, be it a series or.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. What have you done or are doing to kind of tip fate in your favor? Because writers don't have much power to get things made, really. No. So you have to do these things to kind of help yourself. And it sounds like you're moving in that direction a little bit.
I think so. Features are still pretty tricky. I think that my agents are really pushing for me or want me to get a lot of studio work. And I don't know where that is. I also feel like people look at me and they're like, oh, a Native American woman, she's only going to want to do a certain type of thing. Right. I'm like, give me some horror, give me some, something dark and fun and juicy, and it doesn't matter to me. And that's one thing that I really need to make sure that I do is when I turn in, put work out there, that it's not just that sort of niche, I want people to know what I can do. Right. That's important to me. TV is going to be, I think, a little bit not easier, but it's a better path for me to get stuff made right now. I got into the WGA showrunner program last year. And so I did that. I flew to LA every weekend for 6 weeks to be a part of that. And that was really an interesting program. I think it almost felt like more of a run while you can, like a weeding out sort of process. Like we had a lot of speakers come in and it was very anecdotal. Or, 1 week would be how to talk to execs, how to talk to actors, how things like that.
This is after your room experience with True Detective? Okay, so you had that experience coming into this.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it was all people that had already been staffed for a certain amount of time, a lot of experience, a lot of people that have been on a lot of really cool shows. I'm like, oh my gosh, you write for you? Like really cool people that I was a little bit fangirling over. But some of us would turn to each other and be like, I don't know that I want to be a showrunner. This looks really scary. I mean, it's not just writing. It's management to the
HR.
And I don't know that that's my strong suit. But on the other hand, you do have that control, and the end product is your vision. It's your vision. And that's something that really appeals to me. So every project that I've been on, I'm coming in at the creator level. I've pretty much skipped staff writer. I don't know why. It's a ridiculous system, but I've come in as creator, where they've paired me up with showrunners. And I'm hoping that I'm going to start moving up to be like a co-showrunner. And we'll see what that looks like, and whether or not I really feel like taking it all on by myself. But that's terrifying.
But you can outsource like the management and that
that's
sort
what they
of
say.
stuff.
Like, just surround yourself with, smart people who've done it, and they'll help you get there and everything like that. But, and then if the show is terrible, you're the one, right? So it comes with its downsides too, which I don't know if I have it in me to go on Reddit and watch everybody tell me how horrible my show is.
I mean, that's the stakes these days. Yeah. If you put it out there, you're gonna get the pitchforks no matter what.
100%.
Even if it's like brilliant work,
right?
You're gonna get it.
You're gonna get it. Someone's gonna hate it, and it's gonna just make you either feel really bad or just not care.
Get review bombed on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. And I'm glad, that part makes me glad I'm not on social media, because I don't know that I could handle it.
Yeah. Why aren't you on social media? Like in this day and age.
It seems like a whole other job. Like it takes a lot of people's time and energy, and if you read something bad when you wake up in the morning and makes you feel bad the rest of the day, like, why would you do that to yourself? I was on there of course I had Facebook back in the day, but I have trouble censoring myself.
Right.
Things pop into my head that I think are super funny or inappropriate. And I'd write them, and then I'd be like, should I have said that? And then I'll go back and like delete it. And I'm like, well, that's not me. I don't want to live my life deleting stuff that I might think someone, might not like.
But, well, it's funny though, or ironic, this day and age, the more controversial stuff you say, the more reach and engagement you get. And you used to get canceled. Now you get a deal. Like, the more attention you can attract is a good thing.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how we've flipped like this. But
you're right.
Yeah.
And I also feel like a big part of my career is representation, and I just feel like I have to be very careful a lot of the times what I say. Yeah. So I'd rather just not play the game.
Yeah, it's probably smart, and saves a lot of time too.
So much time.
Yeah. Speaking of reputations, you worked with the Obama's production company.
I did.
How was that?
Really awesome.
Yeah.
They're lovely, lovely people. I did not meet Obama. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Because they'll be angry at me if I say anything about any of that. Like,
a firm handshake.
No, although I was able to go at some point. I went and worked in the office in that. So I walked in some footsteps, and that was kind of, I was like, here I am in the Obama's office. But the people at the production company are really awesome people.
Yeah.
They care a lot about the projects that they put out, and I'm disappointed that the project that I did work, I put about almost 3 years into that particular project, and ultimately Netflix passed on it, because they have the deal with Netflix, and so the project really couldn't go anywhere else.
Yep.
But they really worked hard for us to develop it, and supported the project a lot. But
you get like that's a star on the resume though, that you got to work. For that production company.
They're really, and it's funny, like all these production companies that I'm working with and that I've met, you do get a little like excited, like, oh, it's Obama's company, and then at the end of the day, you're having these meetings with just people, right? Everybody's just people, right. And that's a big, like, whoosh, it really helps me personally, and I'm older than most of them anyway. I'm like, I could be your mom, right, I just really have to put all of that in perspective. I have a lot of life experience and things like that so I'm not afraid anymore of a lot of people.
Yeah. So do you think age is kind of your superpower now?
Yeah.
Kind of like
heck yeah.
In a way, you're like your give a damn's busted. Like 100%. 100%. I feel like,
10 years from now, I'm probably going to start getting tired. It is hard to.
I got to get to Perkins at 4
know,
o'clock.
Right? I need that early bird. But I think that because I spent so much time, I didn't start writing until I was 30, right? I didn't start it.
Yeah.
And I didn't start it in LA. And I didn't start it in LA with my daddy, who was an actor, right? Starting a career, this particular career, at that age in Minnesota
As
with no contacts. It just crazy. It's cuckoo that I made it here.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to stop just because I'm older. Like I've worked so hard to get here. But I do feel like I'm running a clock right now. I really do. I mean, my eyes are going bad, Matt. I'm tired and
you feel a storm coming in my bones.
Right? Yeah.
But you're also probably at the peak of your powers.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
Like, yeah.
I'm still going up. I really 100% believe I'm still going up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, and maybe starting a little bit later too gives you that kind of energy,
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not.
My kids are out of the house.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any of that stuff.
Yeah. 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 I mean, my kids are still in the house and I want them in my house forever, but holy hell does it take over your life.
They suck a lot of your energy out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I used to write almost every night. And
yeah.
I get home at 9 o'clock after hockey practice. I'm like, well, I'm going to turn on the news and fall asleep on the couch.
That's right.
Yeah.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
Once they're gone, it's like the dark crystal. They suck all that out of you, once they're gone, you do kind of bounce back a little bit.
Yeah. 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 That'll be
Sorry to my children.
Right.
They haven't even watched the show. They're
really?
I'm like, you guys, it's like HBO. It's like a show. It's a cool show. It's a dark show. You'd like it. You'll be proud of me. And they're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I mean, they're obviously proud of you.
I hope so. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
I mean, I don't know how much cooler a mom can get, really. Like, what else can I do, right? Honest to God.
Yeah. 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 No, they're probably too cool for school about it,
That's
too.
true. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Too funny. The obvious thing, in these sorts of things are like, what advice would you give, somebody? Can you give us some anti-advice? Like, what are the things?
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
That's the biggest.
Yeah.
As far as like working with people at that level, that's the first thing that no one's going to return your call if you have any sort of assholeness at all in you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to be good to work with.
Yeah.
You have to be good to work with, and and that encompasses like taking notes. Don't push, don't defend that. You take those notes
at least
with
not
a
in the
smile.
moment.
That's right. You take it out, on your partner down the road. Those are the worst notes I've ever.
Yep.
You're like, these are great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll be thinking about this.
May I have another? Yeah.
Yeah. It's really all about personality, because at this point you've proven you can write.
You're there for a reason.
Yeah, you're there for a reason. And so you just need to be a person that is good to work with, that they'll want to work with again. That's my don't. And I mean, I could say don't give up because that worked for me. But I can see a point where you should maybe give up. You know what I mean? If you're not enjoying it and you are struggling to write or to be creative or in any way that is just really frustrating to you, I personally wouldn't do this if it made me angry.
Yeah. Do you like writing?
No.
Yeah.
But I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing I've ever been good at in my whole life. So I've learned what I do like about writing is it takes away anxiety. I find that when it builds up and you can just sit down and write, it kind of.
Yeah.
So I do like that. Maybe that's the therapy, or there's something about it that's very therapeutic.
100%.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. You're externalizing some of those internal.
Yeah.
Things,
You just get it out.
Or like you're living through another character, which allows you to feel a range of emotions that maybe you don't allow yourself to feel.
Yeah.
Yet you get to, by proxy.
For sure. But I don't enjoy feeling like I have to write.
Yeah.
I don't want someone to make me write.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. But I would imagine there's times when you kind of get in the zone and it gets easy.
Mm-hmm. That's called Ritalin for me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Prescribed.
Right.
But
right.
yeah, I do have issues where I need to buckle down and pay attention and things like that. And getting in the zone, definitely, whether manufactured or not, is a good place to be when you're writing, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think there's science behind the zone, and it's often manufactured, whether artificially or not. Like you have to create that environment that allows you to focus.
Yeah.
And I mean, they talk about it with Michael Jordan too. Like he had to find that flow.
Yeah.
You know, where it's just like the right environment, the right time, and all of a sudden, like
the time goes by. You look up and 3 hours have passed, and you have 12 pages, and you're like, "That's it. I did it. Today I did it."
Yeah. There's a famous quote. I don't know who said it, but I hate writing, but I love having written.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's painful.
Some people like writing. I'm not.
It's weird. Yeah, I don't know. Outside of like screenwriting software,
Okay.
are there any like tools that you use? Anything?
Notes. My notes app.
Like on your phone?
Many,
Are you always?
So many notes. And it's, I think I've said this before, like really you should put some context in your notes, because I've woken up from whatever and I've had notes on my phone that are like, the monkey did it, or like just something.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm not even writing about a monkey.
Right.
Like I don't understand this note.
Hacked into my phone.
So I feel like notes are important. I mean, it's weird because our tools are like TV, right? Watching and observing, breaking down things that people do for fun. That's your job.
Right.
Yeah, I think final draft and pieces of paper and
Putting the work in.
put the work in.
Yeah. I'd like to do a little local shout out section. Is there any like restaurant or band or artist, anything that you feel like needs a little more attention? Like, what's your favorite?
What's my favorite?
Anything. Locally. Yeah. Where do you like, have you had a great dinner lately that you want to share?
The beignets at the Smack Shack are
really?
good.
Okay.
And there are some, what are those like Mexican cinnamon like
churros?
Yes, at
Colita?
Yes. Oh my God, you must have had those.
It's ridiculous.
If I had a plate of those and a plate of the beignets, like that's it. I'm done.
Right.
For sure.
All right, don't tell any producers out there that she'll work for beignets and churros.
Well, she'll work for sugar.
Yeah, I had dinner at Colita recently, and the dinner was great.
Yeah, the dinner's good.
Yeah. But that churro at the end, I told the waiter, I'm like, I don't know if this is sacrilegious, but this was amazing, and the best part of the meal. He's like, everybody says that.
Everybody, yeah. They push them.
So we know you're not on social media for a whole host of reasons, but if people want to find your work,
they should call you.
I'll tell you where to find everything. Well, congrats on all the success.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. This was a blast. It was great to catch up. And excited for the future.
Me too. Thank you. Yay.